Bustling cities and mist-shrouded mountaintops cradle these sacred landmarks, each a living testament to ages past and reverence still alive. Candles flicker across gilded icons, while soaring domes echo with centuries of hymns and silent hopes. Join us as we explore the top 20 churches around the world, venturing beyond stone walls into a realm where art, devotion, and history unite. St. Peter's Basilica is built over the traditional burial site of St. Peter, one of Jesus' apostles. The first basilica on this spot was ordered by Emperor Constantine in the 4th century. Over the centuries, it fell into decline and was later rebuilt under Pope Julius II in the early 16th century. Michelangelo shaped its famous dome, and Gian Lorenzo Bernini designed the impressive colonnade in St. Peter's Square. This new basilica was finally completed in 1626, standing as a grand display of Renaissance art and architecture. Today, St. Peter's Basilica remains a vital place of worship and a major pilgrimage destination. It draws millions of visitors each year who come to see its stunning mosaics, soaring dome, and treasures like Michelangelo's Pietà. Many popes are buried here, adding to the basilica's historical significance. Guided tours often explore its hidden chapels and tombs, providing glimpses into centuries of Catholic tradition. Standing proudly at the heart of Vatican City, St. Peter's Basilica symbolizes the enduring heritage of the Roman Catholic Church. Notre-Dame de Paris is one of the most famous cathedrals in the world and a prime example of French Gothic architecture. Construction began in 1163 under the guidance of Bishop Maurice de Sully, and it took nearly 2 centuries to complete. Its towering spires, ornate sculptures, and majestic stained glass windows have amazed visitors for hundreds of years. Many significant events in French history happened here, including coronations and royal weddings. Thanks to Victor Hugo's novel The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the cathedral's legend grew even stronger in popular culture. Sadly, in April 2019, a devastating fire damaged parts of the roof and spire. Many people around the globe watched in shock, but French authorities quickly vowed to rebuild this treasured landmark. Restoration efforts are ongoing, led by skilled architects and craftspeople working to restore its former glory. Donations poured in from all over the world to help preserve its cultural and spiritual significance. Notre Dame continues to stand as a beacon of faith, history, and resilience in the heart of Paris. Sagrada Familia is one of Spain's most famous churches and a masterpiece of architect Antoni Gaudí. Construction began in 1882, but Gaudí took over a year later and devoted much of his life to the project until his death in 1926. He drew inspiration from nature to create its unique shapes and soaring spires. Even though Gaudí never saw its completion, his visionary plans guide the ongoing work. Today, cranes still tower over the structure, and visitors flock to witness this living example of modernist architecture. Over the years, countless architects and artists have contributed to Gaudí's original design. Each facade and tower tells a different story, with intricate sculptures and colorful stained glass. The goal has always been to honor Christian themes while pushing the boundaries of architectural creativity. When completed, hopefully in the early 2030s, Sagrada Familia will have 18 towers, the tallest reaching 172.5 meters. Until then, it remains a grand construction site and a beloved symbol of Barcelona's cultural heritage. Hagia Sophia has stood in Istanbul for nearly 1,500 years, witnessing the rise and fall of empires. It was first built as a Byzantine church in 537 AD under Emperor Justinian I, who wanted to create the greatest house of worship in the Christian world. Its massive dome, once the largest in existence, symbolized the empire's strength and faith. After the Ottoman conquest in 1453, Sultan Mehmed II turned it into a mosque, adding minarets and other Islamic features. In the 20th century, it became a museum, showcasing its blend of Christian and Islamic heritage. Over time, Hagia Sophia's artwork and mosaics remained a source of awe and inspiration. Scholars and pilgrims alike visited to marvel at its detailed frescoes and grand architecture. In 2020, the Turkish government reclassified it as a working mosque once again. This change sparked global discussion about preserving its historical treasures. Even today, Hagia Sophia remains a powerful symbol of cultural and religious unity, reflecting the layered history of Istanbul itself. The National Shrine of Our Lady of Aparecida is located in the city of Aparecida, Brazil, and ranks as one of the world's largest churches. It was built to honor a small statue of the Virgin Mary, known as Our Lady of Aparecida, discovered by fishermen in the Paraíba River in 1717. Construction of the current basilica began in the mid-20th century, and it stands out with its grand dome and massive interior. Millions of pilgrims visit each year, especially on October 12th, the official feast day of Our Lady of Aparecida. Devotees come from all over Brazil and beyond to pay their respects and attend special masses. Over time, a modest chapel was replaced by a larger church, and finally, the impressive modern basilica. Pope John Paul II designated it a minor basilica in 1980, confirming its importance in the Catholic world. Today, the national shrine of Our Lady of Aparecida remains a central symbol of faith and unity for millions of people. Milan Cathedral, also known as the Duomo di Milano, is one of Europe's largest Gothic cathedrals. Construction started in 1386 under the direction of Bishop Antonio da Saluzzo, with help from the powerful Visconti family. Over the next 6 centuries, countless architects and craftsmen added to its design, creating thousands of spires and statues. The tallest spire holds a gilded statue of the Madonna, called the Madonnina, which became a symbol of the city. Even today, finishing touches and restorations continue, keeping the cathedral's historic beauty alive. Inside, guests are greeted by towering columns and colored light streaming through stained glass windows. Visitors can also climb to the rooftop, where they'll find breathtaking views of Milan and a closer look at the elaborate spires. Napoleon Bonaparte famously crowned himself King of Italy here in 1805, reflecting the Duomo's lasting role in European history. Its white marble facade comes from quarries at nearby Candoglia, giving it a special glow. Each year, millions of tourists and worshippers arrive to admire this masterpiece of faith, art, and determination. Westminster Abbey is a famous Gothic church in London, with roots stretching back to the 10th century. King Edward the Confessor rebuilt it in the mid-11th century and dedicated it to Saint Peter. The current Gothic structure mostly took shape under King Henry III in the 13th century, showcasing tall arches and detailed stone carvings. Over many centuries, this site has grown into a symbol of British history. Its walls have witnessed the crowning and commemoration of countless monarchs, reflecting the Abbey's deep national importance. Since the coronation of William the Conqueror in 1066, every British monarch has been crowned here. The Abbey has also hosted royal weddings, enhancing its ceremonial status. Inside, visitors can explore tombs and memorials of kings, queens, and famous figures such as Sir Isaac Newton and Charles Dickens. Poets' Corner remembers renowned writers like Geoffrey Chaucer. Today, millions of people visit Westminster Abbey each year to marvel at its majestic architecture and long tradition of historical events. St. Mark's Basilica in Venice is a jewel of Byzantine-inspired architecture. Tracing its roots back to the 9th century, legend says it was built to house the remains of St. Mark, brought from Alexandria by Venetian merchants. Over time, it evolved into the grand church seen today, with its famous golden mosaics and ornate domes. The basilica also sits right beside the Doge's palace, reflecting Venice's historic blend of religious and political power. With each addition, it became an even more dazzling landmark, earning the nickname Church of Gold. Many of the cathedral's treasures were collected during the city's long history of trade and conquest. The 4 bronze horses on the facade, for example, were taken from the Hippodrome of Constantinople during the Fourth Crusade. Inside, travelers find intricate floors and walls glowing with art and religious symbols. Ceremonies and processions still take place here, linking the past and present in a single grand setting. Today, St. Mark's Basilica remains a central part of Venetian life and a must-see destination for admirers of art and history. Cologne Cathedral, known in German as the Kölner Dom, is one of the tallest Gothic cathedrals in Europe. Construction started in 1248 under Archbishop Konrad von Hochstaden and continued for hundreds of years before finally being completed in 1880. Its soaring twin spires make it a landmark on the Cologne skyline, while the interior holds the Shrine of the Three Kings, said to contain relics of the Magi. During the Middle Ages, it was a major pilgrimage site, attracting visitors from across Europe. Despite damage in World War II, the cathedral stood firm, later undergoing careful repairs. Today, Cologne Cathedral is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a center of religious life. Tourists and worshippers alike marvel at its stained glass windows, intricate carvings, and lofty arches. A climb up one of the spires rewards you with stunning views of the city and the Rhine River. Millions come here every year, drawn by its history, architecture, and spiritual significance. The Kölner Dom remains a lasting symbol of Germany's cultural and religious heritage. The Basilica of Sacré-Cœur sits atop Montmartre, the highest point in Paris. Construction began in 1875 under architect Paul Abadi, but the basilica was not completed until 1914. Built after the Franco-Prussian War, its white domes were meant to be a symbol of hope and reconciliation. Its name which translates to Sacred Heart, highlights the Catholic devotion to the heart of Jesus. Over the years, this church has become both a spiritual site and a cultural icon in the City of Light. Stepping inside, visitors are greeted by a grand interior with one of the largest mosaics in France, depicting Christ in majesty. The gleaming travertine stone walls release calcite over time, helping the basilica maintain its bright appearance. Travelers often climb the dome to enjoy panoramic views of Paris, stretching far beyond the winding streets below. Each year, people of various backgrounds and beliefs come to admire Sacré-Cœur's architecture, history, and peaceful setting. Even through changing times, it remains a beloved symbol perched on the city's famous hill. Seville Cathedral, officially known as the Cathedral of St. Mary of the Sea, is often considered the largest Gothic church in the world. Construction began in 1401 on the site of a former mosque and took over a century to complete. The plan was to build a church so grand that, as legend claims, future generations would think the builders were mad. Inside, visitors can see impressive vaulted ceilings, ornate chapels, and countless works of religious art. The Giralda Tower, once a minaret, still stands as an iconic link to the city's Moorish past. Beyond its grand size and architecture, Seville Cathedral also houses the tomb of explorer Christopher Columbus. This final resting place inspires debate, as some historians contest whether his remains are truly here. Nevertheless, the monument draws crowds of curious travelers from around the globe. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, the cathedral remains a key highlight of Seville's rich cultural heritage. Year after year, pilgrims and tourists alike come to witness its timeless beauty and spiritual significance. Canterbury Cathedral is one of the oldest Christian structures in England, tracing its roots back to 597 AD, when Augustine of Canterbury first arrived to spread Christianity. The cathedral we see today took shape over centuries, blending Romanesque and Gothic styles. It gained great fame after the murder of Archbishop Thomas Becket in 1170, an event that turned the site into a major pilgrimage destination. Kings, queens, and countless pilgrims have walked its halls, paying tribute to Becket's martyrdom. In recognition of its long history and significance, it was made a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales helped popularize pilgrimages to the cathedral, further cementing its fame in literature. Even today, worship services continue daily, uniting past traditions with the modern world. Whether you visit for spiritual reasons or historical interest, Canterbury Cathedral remains a powerful symbol of England's religious heritage. Florence Cathedral, also called the Duomo di Firenze, began construction in 1296 under architect Arnolfo di Cambio. The cathedral's most famous feature, its massive dome, was designed by Filippo Brunelleschi in the early 15th century. At that time, building such a large dome without wooden supports was considered nearly impossible. Yet Brunelleschi succeeded, creating a masterpiece that still amazes engineers today. With its red-tiled roof and towering height, the Duomo continues to dominate the city's skyline. Inside, the cathedral offers an awe-inspiring space with a richly decorated marble floor. Visitors often look upward to see Giorgio Vasari's grand frescoes on the dome, which show scenes of the Last Judgment. Together with Giotto's bell tower next door, the cathedral complex stands as a shining example of the Italian Renaissance. People from all over the world come to admire the architecture and learn about its long history. In modern times, the Duomo remains a central symbol of Florence's cultural and artistic heritage. St. Basil's Cathedral, officially called the Cathedral of the Intercession of the Most Holy Theotokos on the Moat, stands in Moscow's Red Square. Built between 1555 and 1561, under Tsar Ivan the Terrible, it was meant to celebrate Russia's victory over the Khanate of Kazan. Its colorful onion domes have made it a symbol of Russia, each dome featuring a unique pattern. The legend says Ivan the Terrible was so impressed by the design that he blinded the architects to keep them from creating anything similar elsewhere. Historians doubt this story, but it reflects how much wonder the cathedral has inspired. Inside, the cathedral has narrow corridors and multiple chapels, each with its own striking decor and artwork. Visitors may be surprised to find the interior more intimate and maze-like compared to the vast exterior. Named in honor of Saint Basil the Blessed, a holy man known for his prophecies and fearless way of speaking truth to power, it remains a spiritual and cultural landmark. Over time, St. Basil's has witnessed major events in Russian history, from royal processions to modern-day celebrations. Standing alongside the Kremlin, it continues to draw visitors from around the globe, eager to experience its vibrant colors and storied past. St. Vitus Cathedral is the largest and most important church in the Czech Republic, towering within Prague Castle. Construction began in 1344 under the rule of King John of Bohemia and continued for nearly 6 centuries. Notable architects like Matthias of Arras and Peter Parler shaped its Gothic design, with soaring spires and intricate stained glass windows. Inside, visitors find the tombs of Bohemian kings and saints, showing the cathedral's deep royal and religious ties. Even its grand mosaics and chapels offer a glimpse into centuries of Czech history. Today, St. Vitus Cathedral stands as a key symbol of Prague's heritage and a highlight for tourists exploring the castle complex. Tour groups wind through its grand halls, admiring relics like the Czech crown jewels. The famous St. Wenceslas Chapel, adorned with semi-precious stones, holds special religious meaning. For many, stepping inside the cathedral feels like walking into a living museum of art, history, and faith. Basilique Notre-Dame de Paris sits on a hill overlooking the city of Lyon, France. Built between 1872 and 1884, it was designed by architects Pierre Bosson and Saint-Marie Perrin. The basilica's architectural style mixes Romanesque and Byzantine elements, giving it a distinctive appearance. People often call it the upside-down elephant because of its 4 main towers. Over time, it has become a beloved symbol of Lyon and a focal point for religious gatherings. Inside, visitors are greeted by richly decorated mosaics and stained glass windows. There is also a small museum that explains the basilica's history and the devotion to the Virgin Mary. Each year, the Fourvière Hill hosts festivals that draw both locals and tourists who enjoy art, music, and cultural events. Climbing the stairs or taking the funicular provides sweeping views of the city below. This grand church continues to welcome pilgrims, travelers, and curious explorers seeking inspiration and beauty. Mont Saint-Michel Abbey sits atop a rocky tidal island off the coast of Normandy, France. Legend says that in the early 8th century, the Archangel Michael appeared to Bishop Aubert of Avranches, instructing him to build a church on the mount. Over time, it grew into a Benedictine abbey, attracting pilgrims from all over Europe. During the Middle Ages, its unique position and strong walls made it almost impossible for invaders to capture. The abbey's dramatic location and stunning architecture have made it a symbol of French heritage. Today, Mont Saint-Michel is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, drawing countless visitors each year. People come to explore its winding streets, steep stairways, and grand halls, all perched high above shifting sands and the sea. Many still consider it a holy place, with religious services held in the abbey's chapel. Modern projects continue to preserve its historic buildings and protect the bay's natural environment. For both believers and tourists, Mont Saint-Michel remains a breathtaking link to medieval faith and artistry. The Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi honors the life and teachings of St. Francis, a humble friar who founded the Franciscan order in the early 13th century. Construction began shortly after his death in 1226, under the supervision of Brother Elias of Cortona. The basilica has two main levels: the upper church, with bright frescoes by Cimabue and Giotto, and the lower church, where the saint's tomb is located. These frescoes illustrate scenes from Francis's life and mark a shift from medieval to more human-focused art. Pilgrims have traveled here for centuries, seeking to connect with the spirit of St. Francis's simple and compassionate way of life. Rising above the Umbrian countryside, the basilica stands as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Visitors can still sense a certain peacefulness in its cloisters and chapels, reflecting the saint's bond with nature. Restoration efforts over the years have preserved the building's delicate paintings and unique architecture. Each year, thousands of people from all over the world come to pray, admire the art, and learn about the Franciscan tradition. In doing so, they keep St. Francis's message of humility and care for others very much alive. Notre-Dame de la Garde, often called La Bonne Mère by locals, is a famous Catholic basilica perched on a hill overlooking Marseille, France. Built in the mid-19th century, it replaced a 13th century chapel that once stood on the same rocky peak. Its design blends Romanesque and Byzantine influences, featuring colorful mosaics and a striking bell tower topped by a golden statue of the Virgin Mary. Sailors have long looked to this shining figure for protection, making the basilica an important symbol of maritime faith. Today, it continues to welcome both worshippers and travelers who climb the steep steps to enjoy the panoramic views of the city and Mediterranean Sea. Inside, visitors find a richly decorated interior with walls lined with ex voto plaques, model ships, and heartfelt thank you notes for answered prayers. The gilded mosaics and painted ceilings highlight the basilica's strong ties to the Catholic tradition. Celebrations like Assumption Day draw large crowds, reminding everyone of Marseille's deep religious roots. Local legends and stories of miracles add to the basilica's charming, almost mystical appeal. As a result, Notre-Dame de la Garde remains both a beacon of faith and a proud emblem of Marseille's cultural identity. The Cathedral of Christ the Savior in Moscow is one of the tallest Orthodox Christian churches in the world. The original structure was commissioned in the 19th century to honor Russia's victory over Napoleon. However, Soviet leader Joseph Stalin ordered its demolition in 1931, and the site was turned into a public swimming pool. Decades later, following the collapse of the Soviet Union, a massive effort began to rebuild the cathedral to its former glory. The new building, completed in 2000, stands on the banks of the Moskva River, not far from the Kremlin. With its gleaming golden domes and richly painted interior, the cathedral remains a focal point for major Orthodox celebrations, including grand Easter services. The vast space can hold thousands of worshippers at once, featuring many ornate icons and religious artwork. For Russians, it has become a symbol of faith, restored after years of Soviet rule. Tourists also come to see the architecture, climb to the observation decks, and learn about Russia's complex religious history. In this way, the Cathedral of Christ the Saviour continues to bridge the past and the present, standing tall in the heart of Moscow.